I'm happy to report that the calves are out still and they didn't get into trouble overnight. The 5 oldest ones are in with Mimsy. And hi, babies. They seem to be doing good. They are not happy about being weaned. They got lots of water and grain and all this grass. And their little buddy Mimsy. Well, I've spent all day, or the 3 hours of my day that I have available, working on the vacuum pump. I managed to get the motor to run off of the generator. Turns out I had miswired it, so I figured that out because I was taking the motor off to load it into the car to take it to the motor repair shop. And while I had it upside down, I saw that one of the wires where I needed to connect had been cut too close to the wire nut and was invisible from seeing it from the top side. So it looked like that wasn't a connection point. Plus it was all wrapped up in electrical tape. So once I figured that out, it ran. It smoked a little bit, so I stopped running it, checked everything. I was going to take the motor apart to see what was going on, but I cleaned the whole of the inside of this was coated in oil. Black, thick, googey slime. Cleared all of that out, got this thing cleared up, and the motor ran. No smoke. So I attached it, hooked it up, ran it again. No smoke. Decided to hook the oiler on, because you're not supposed to run a vacuum pump, a vane type. It's got these fins in it that run, and it needs the oil to create the suction and lubricate it. So I decided to hook that up, and it was just pulling oil up to this top section of this hose here, ready to feed it into the feeders, and it started smoking. So I had to shut it down. So now I've spent a whole bunch of time on this. I've came up with I found it was mismounted to the tank. The motor was loose and wasn't properly set on the tank, and the belts were loose. So I got in really good working order, except for the fact of that smoke. Now I don't know, I think one of the capacitor or starting capacitors or something is cooking, because some kind of liquid drained out, which is scary in its own right. I'm wondering if it's because I'm running it on the generator. Generator has enough power to turn it over. It doesn't seem like it's turning it over fast enough, but then again, this is a slow, I think it's only 1750 RPMs. It seemed to have suction because I had to put there's an inlet on the end of the tank there. I had to put a bag over it to create the vacuum, which helps draw the oil up, and that was working fine. So now my options are take the whole thing apart, spend a day to go take the motor in, and get it set. I'm seeing the generator vibrated itself apart. Here's a nut from somewhere. Oh, right here. Okay. The handle pin vibrated out, so I'll have to check on that. So basically, to take the motor to the motor shop, it's a 3-hour round trip plus whatever time I have to wait there while he tests it and tells me what needs to happen, or whether it's a dead motor, or I have to leave it and then I got to spend another 3 hours round trip on another day. And I do have reason to go to Lewiston because that's where the JCB dealer is, and I need to get hydraulic fluid for Gidget, and some maintenance parts. But it was a nice day today. It did rain a little bit, but it was a nice day today. I didn't really want to lose that in travel time. I already did run a bunch of errands today, and I got all the parts, I think all the parts for connecting the vacuum line up once that's ready. I mounted it to a pallet so I can use the skid steer to shuffle it down to the parlor. Just have to figure out where it's going to sit near the parlor and build a roof over it so it stays dry. Not ideal. I mean, ideally it would go in the new parlor, But with things up in the air and trying to buy this place and no money for a new parlor yet, yeah, so anyway, it's going to be portable. But now I'm really torn because it was working and now it's not. Urgh. It's Tuesday morning, what, 2nd or 3rd of June. I'm just moving the back fence. Gonna let the cows out. They didn't graze last night's section as well as I thought they should have, so I'm gonna force them to eat it today. That may result in a hit in milk, but they're the only way that that's gonna get cropped off at the moment. This section where they have been is still wet, still damp. This was what, 2-3 days ago? Sunday was when they were out here. That was after the horrible mess of Saturday. That area is still got standing water, still too wet, but this area is firming up nicely. So it was mostly dry yesterday. It's going to be hot and dry today, hotter and drier tomorrow with a wind. So I'm thinking I'm going to watch the end of this week, maybe Thursday. Today's Tuesday, that's in a couple days. Thursday or Friday. If it isn't raining on Thursday, then Friday. If it isn't going to rain on Friday. Some point we're getting more rain. I want to get some urea spread out here. And I think I can do it. If the ground gets firmer than what it is right now, then I can do it before the next rain. And then the rain is critical. Can't do it after the rain, have to do it just before. So that's my plan of attack. We'll see whether the weather and the ground conditions will cooperate, and also timing, because I've got a lot of other things to do. And if it was going to be that dry, then theoretically tomorrow I should cut some silage and bale it on Thursday. I'm not sure the ground conditions in either of the fields that are ready will allow me to do that. Really wants to have a week of dry weather before I do anything, but I know that next week is predicted to be drier, and if that's the case, I have 20 acres of hay for a neighbor I have to do. Because we also, and I'd also be doing silage next week. But I have a lot of silage to do, a lot more than hay. So I guess today I should be getting the baler ready. Well, I should be getting the baler ready, or getting pastures ready, or fencing, or any number of things, but I am working again on the vacuum pump. And I discovered something. I've just managed to run it by hooking it directly to the panel through a breaker, and it didn't smoke. So I ran it for a short while. The oiler instantly drew oil up, so that means to me that running it off the generator meant it wasn't getting the correct voltage, and it was causing things to strain and work too hard, and that's probably why the capacitor started smoking. Capacitor can be replaced if it fails. We're thinking about purchasing a backup motor. If I can find one with the right shaft dimension, then we may just order one to have on spare, because this one will fail. This is old. Who knows? It's obviously secondhand to this setup, so who knows how long it'll last, and it'll probably cost most. I think we found a spare motor for about $450. It'll be most of at least that to get this, at least half of that to get this looked at, and that's without even getting it repaired. So that's where we're going there. I've got to find a way. The oil came up into the oiler but not out through to get to the other bearing. So I got to check on whether that runs. I'm about to turn it on, but I thought I'd use an infrared gun just to shoot some temperatures to it so I can see if anything's getting hot while it's operating. I added a taller exhaust pipe. This had been the original exhaust pipe, and it went out across a room. So there's another 5 feet on there, but I took that off to give it some back pressure, because that may help. And then I also put the gauge on down below so we can check to see if this is running, because if this, all right, so 84, 84, 87, the motor itself is 106. It was running for a little while. 110. Pump is 122. It is hot out here, so that's, I don't know what these things run. 120. And the oiler 100. So yeah, I'm just gonna go turn the breaker on, see what happens. All right, so we've got right around 20 pounds of pressure, 30 pounds of pressure. Coming out there, but the oil isn't drawing up. I don't know why that is. Oil's just not coming up. I have no idea how this pump is supposed to run. I don't know why that oil isn't coming through the oiler. About 30 pounds of pressure. Oh, there we go. Now we got some oil sucking through. Now we got it. Now I've got oil flowing into both sides of the pump. Seems to be running pretty good, running steady. Holding 30 pounds of vacuum. Okay, so the motor's reading about 115 on the hull of it. The vacuum pump's about 156. Uh, 152, 156. The oiler's running at 162 in exhaust. Top capacitor's at 89. Next capacitor's at 87. And the bottom capacitor is at 84, 85. 93, 92. So the airflow to the motor is keeping it cool. And we now have oil flowing to all points. Reason number 672, why I never get anything done. Track just came off the skid steer. Trying to clean out the pen, scrape down the barn. I don't have time to fix that. Now the cows are going to have to try and navigate around a damn skid steer. Not to mention, that manure is really... Well, I started putting the track back on at 4. It's now 7, and I just got the grease in it and got it tightened back up. It was a thrash. The idler, front idler, which is held in by a grease and a spring, I backed off on the nut all the way, and grease still wouldn't come out. Oh, damn it, I still don't have that. I don't have that track tightened up, but I gotta get this out of here because milking is late. Because this has been right in the way. Oh, there's 3 hours I won't get back. Ever. WMEW Waterville 91.3 and online at mainpublic.org. Definitely tighten that track. The trick was getting it over, get that idler pulled back and get those teeth over the idler. And I've done it before on the channel, but I use these iron bars jammed between the teeth to get things moving. It works like a charm when it works, but you got to get to that point where you can do it. My one innovation this time was I put the gearbox in stale mode at about 25%, and that really made a difference because I wasn't having the track wasn't, as I engaged the lever, it wasn't jumping and rushing out of the way. So that was a little brainwave I had that's I will use in the future going forward. Fortunately, it only happens, I think, what was February last time? I lost the track, and it's not a matter of keeping him tight. These stones get wedged in, and then jam the tread off of that front idler, and once it's off of there, it hops right off the gear, the sprocket at the back. All right, I gotta get cleaned up, get the tractor put away. I'd use the tractor to help pull the tread closer to where it needed to be with a ratchet strap. I gotta get all this picked up, put away, cleaned up. Get ready, a cow's coming. Thursday the 5th of June. I'm getting the baler ready. I wanted to have gotten it ready days ago. In fact, I'd actually had a calendar reminder on my calendar to start working on this in April. But it was so wet in April, and then May flew by. Don't know what happened to it, but also extremely wet. So today, I'm hoping to go mow later. It's about 1 o'clock now. I want to get this as far along as I can by about 3, and then I want to go mow. It's a super nice day. It's really hot today. We're due maybe for some thunderstorms. There's only about a 30% chance in our area of any kind of rain. And I don't see a cloud in the sky right now, so I'm going to tackle greasing and lubing this and see what happens. We're also supposed to get the same kind of weather tomorrow and rain tomorrow night. So hard to say what's going to happen, but it's worth me risking, a couple acres, knock it down. I usually do the same thing every year, knock down a couple acres. I keep seeing things to test the equipment. And new mower, so I got to get used to that. I want to make sure the baler's running right, because then next week we're supposed to have good weather at the end of the week for haying. My neighbor has 20 acres that I have to hay for him. So I want to make sure the baler, because last year the baler quit before, it was late June. I just gotten the baler. The baler broke, so I had to use my small square baler to bale up his first cut. I don't have that option this year. I sold the small square balers to afford the new mower. So this really has to work. And I don't know why it wouldn't. It worked. Once I repaired the major problem last year, it worked mostly flawlessly. I can't get the net wrap to work. I'm not going to mess with that right now. I know the twine works fine. I have twine, certainly for the hay, for my neighbor's hay. That's good enough. I just got to make sure that everything's lubed. Check. I want to sharpen the knives if I can get the old ones out, and make sure that the chain oilers work and lube. Obviously I got to top up the oil, grease everything. And I do have this one annoying thing here to fix. I don't know how that got bent at the end of last year on the last field, but anyway, I got to fix that. I want to sharpen the twine knife so it cuts a little cleaner. And again, just lube everything, get this going, and then I've got to get in the field and cut the hay for tomorrow. Yeah, I was going to finish this. Yeah, I was going to start on this the other day, but then lost 4 hours on Gidget. And then yesterday, again, I was trying to get to this, but I needed to get things cleaned up in the yard here so I could move this. I had to unbury it from where it was sitting there, parked over winter. And it's just lots of little things. I moved the vacuum pump for the parlor down below, and I had to go to the feed store to have feed for this morning for milking. And so that meant I might as well go get the rest of the parts I needed for the vacuum pump, which meant I was there. I saved Allison a delivery and went to Rockland and delivered it primo there yesterday. So I was gone for 2.5 hours that I could have been working on this. But anyway, that's how it goes here. So I think I remember how to use this. I'm gonna quick go inside and familiarize myself with the, certainly all these little yellow arrows and stuff indicate grease lube points, but I know there are some arrows missing. I know there's some points on here that are hidden, and the manual shows where they are, and will refresh my mind. So I gotta pour through that, make sure I see everything. I just want to look to make sure. I'm going to blow things down. Right, I should get the compressor going. I want to blow everything down, make sure there were no mice nests, check for rat chewed wires, all that sort of stuff. Because last thing I want to do is get in the field tomorrow and not be able to roll hay. Just going to climb up inside I slacked the belts off so I can get any scale or any debris. This is all leaf matter stuff flew in here over the winter. I want to check that the clearance on the scraper bars is right. Just really give the whole thing a going over. I didn't, again, time has just flown by. So many little projects we're trying to tackle. I want to get a inoculant tank mounted on this and sprayer. Obviously it isn't going to happen today. I don't even have the parts, and I got to afford probably like $300 worth of inoculant. Actually I could probably it'll be for next year too, but anyway, I want to get that inoculant tank on there. I think I found the right combination, but I'm going to have to jury rig it and mount it, make mounting for it, find a way to hook it up. There's a lot of things that I should have been doing already, but the weather and not having a shed or anything has kind of put the kibosh on that. So, yep, I'm just going to get started and get this thing serviced. So I just shined up and sharpened the twine knife. I wasn't planning on using the twine system, but because I think it's going to be a big task to get I got grease everywhere. I think it's a big task to get the net wrap system going, and I just want to get. We got weather, and the twine works. It's annoying to deal with in the summer, but it's annoying to deal with in winter, and if it overwraps. But I think the knife was awfully dull. It was still cutting the twine fine, but I think the twine was breaking more than cutting. So it was quite blunt. So I sharpened it. Just got to put it back on, and I polished it up. I don't know if that affects anything, but might as well. I'm in here in the baler, and projects are adding up. I need to add a circle of rubber to that as a bumper for this light crop bar. which I used for second cut last year, which really worked well. I'm going to use it on first crop this year just because it's such a pain to take on and off by myself. But I do want to have that bumper. There's one over there. I think I got some rubber matting that'll work. This is proving to be a bigger job than I really wanted because I'm not going to be able to complete it today. There's a tab down at the lower end where this lower end hooks on, and it's gone. It like tore off and fell off last season. I don't know why. I don't think I hit anything, but anyway, that's gonna have to get repaired. And I kind of see I can take that whole thing out at some point for a bigger rebuild, because I've considered getting rid of these metal guards and going with the new lighter weight, more flexible plastic ones, only because these are such a bear to take on and off. You have to remove them in order to change the tines, so it's just a massive pain. I did it a bunch last summer. Added tines, took these off. This may have been one where I added or took off tines, I can't remember. But that's a good project for in between first and second cut, if I can get away with limping by, just bending this down. And I had to take that off because this thing is so bent that it wasn't sitting right. And I gotta figure a way of bending that flat again, because if I'd left it, it would have caught the tines and torn things up. Yeah, that's quite the curlicue. I gotta figure a way to straighten that. Actually, that was easier than I thought. I just stuck it in this slot and twisted. Came true. So it's just a matter of putting it back and hoping that it rides. Otherwise, grass will just plug in there. Yeah, the proper thing to do is to fix it, but I don't have a tab or even a piece of steel or an easy way to get under there and weld it. It could probably come from the backside, but yeah, the thing really needs to be lifted up on blocks or something so I can get under there. It's going to take some planning. If I put, even just getting it 4 inches higher and put some 4x12s down, or stack of 2x12s down and drive it up on it just to get that extra height. But that's not today. Really, there are no thunderheads building in the sky. So I really think, and it's clear, this is a little bit of smoke haze from the Canadian wildfires, but I don't see where we're going to get rain today like they predicted, and I'm willing to risk it for bailing it tomorrow, even though tomorrow is a hectic day. Allison's at the farmer's market. I'm milking first thing, got an appointment, hour-long appointment in the middle of the morning, and then I got to come back at noon and I'll have to hit it hard. Rake and bale. I'm only going to do a couple acres though. So last year there were only 6 bales off of what I'm, not even, there were 4.5 bales off of what I'm going to cut today. So we'll see what happens. I may get in there and find out it's still too wet. I mean, we had 1.5 inches of rain the other day, but we have had 4, almost 5 days of sunny, dry, warm weather, and the field, our grazing field, is drying out. In fact, I'm tempted tomorrow, before I go rake and bale, spread a little fert if it isn't raining. If it's raining, then I'm not going to rake and bale. Got it lubed, I hope, and I've got it running. Making sure there's no grinding or binding or anything visually weird. I just got it in idle. That bar seems to be working okay down there. I'm not gonna mess with it or anything. All the chains seem to be tracking okay. the settings. I adjusted some settings on the controller just for bailing, so I don't forget while we're on my mind. And I think we're good to go. It's not acting like the door is shut though, and that's a problem. Nope. Says it is. There was a little bit of a problem last year with a door floating open mid-bail, especially as the bail got bigger. When in doubt, turn it on and off again. See what happens. Nope, it's acting like yeah, I don't know why. I gotta make sure the let's turn it off. I gotta find out whether the sensor is knocked out of place. I think I know what I think I got it fixed, and I think I know what to do to fix it more. The sensor is on an arm on a spring, so I tightened again, gave it a little more pressure. I put some lube on the bar, which is a little bit hard to do really. I need to take this box off and pull that out and make sure I got better lube on it. So maybe some other day. It works. I operated the door a half dozen times and it closes. If it doesn't, then I know what to do to get it to function. And there's also there's a little sensor on a plate, and there's a little finger underneath the sensor, and if this continues, I'll grind away that little finger about a couple millimeters off the little finger, just cleaning up, so that it'll make better contact. It'll come closer to the door and the sensor will activate. I think that's what the issue was last year. I'm not 100% sure. Either that or there was pressure bleeding off, and I kept having to bump the arm because it was saying that the gate was open when it really wasn't. So I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, I'm gonna unhook this and get the mower on and go mow.